Hey guys, welcome to another episode of എങ്ങനെയുണ്ടായിരുന്നു? Very special episode today. I am joined by, as usual, by Nikhil. Hi
Hello.
Nikhil. Yeah, and I have two special guests with me today. We have Alan. Hi,
Hello.
Alan.
Alan returning.
Yeah,
Nice
Alan,
to
I
be
think
here.
did join us for one of the episodes, no? എപ്പോഴായിരുന്നു തുടക്കം ഇനീഷ്യലി
ഏതൊരു
ഒരു
cinema that I didn't
ജയിലർ
watch.
എപ്പിസോഡിന്. Yeah, so I hope today you are more prepared.
Yes.
And we have Paul joining us. What's up, Paul?
Hello.
So as we mentioned in the previous pod, I think Pilla is not going to be joining us. We also tried to put in Sanjay for this. I think he joined us in our Ulurka episode, but he was also unable to join today because of some prior commitments.
So Rahul has bought in his two spare tires.
Not really. In fact, I have been wanting to do an episode. So for whoever is listening, so the bunch of guys here are like we are very close friends. So few of my closest boys are here. So so it's always been I've been wanting to have an episode with everyone involved as far as possible. So I think we try to make that happen now because I think because obviously ഞാനും നിഖിലും പിള്ളയും മെയിൻലി ഇത് ചെയ്യുന്നത് we have a lot of similar movie interests. We talk about a lot of regional content as such. I think in terms of Alan and Paul, and so everybody being able to speak about one movie, we thought like we would speak about Deadpool versus Wolverine. So ആദ്യം അത് ഇറങ്ങിയപ്പോൾ also we wanted to do this.
It's not Deadpool versus Wolverine, it's Deadpool and Wolverine. ഞാനും ഈ same
അങ്ങനെയാ?
mistake.
Oh really?
Yeah, it is
Did you
Deadpool
guys
and
know
Wolverine.
this?
Yeah. It's not versus.
Yeah. Even
Oh,
I thought it was
Dead.
Deadpool versus, but it is.
For some reason I don't know. That's how it is in my brain as well.
No.
But
അത് ഞാൻ ഇന്ന് റിയലൈസ് ചെയ്തു. ഞാൻ ഇന്ന്
Mandela
കണ്ടു.
effect.
അപ്പോൾ I was like, Deadpool versus Wolverine അല്ലേ? Then
okay, sorry, my bad. So we thought probably Deadpool and Wolverine would be a movie that it's I mean Marvel is something I think all of us do watch, or we know about it, so we speak about it quite a bit. So we thought this is one movie that everybody can watch and speak about on this platform together. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം ഈ സിനിമ ഇറങ്ങിയപ്പോഴും അത് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു. But I think a couple of us could not catch it in theaters. So then we decided that, okay, now that it's out on OTT, I think everybody had a chance to watch it. And then we thought that, okay, we can do an episode on it. So with that, just throwing it all out to everybody, guys, എങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു Deadpool and Wolverine? Just a small bit of what you feel like. We'll discuss in depth, but like just to reach that in one or two lines, what did you think about it, Alan?
I really liked it. Even though story-wise it's not that much of a good plot line as opposed to the Spider-Man movies. The Spider-Man movies have a better storyline. But on the whole, it was absolutely fun to watch, which is one of the reasons why I go to the movies because they're really fun. And if it's fun, it makes up for. I feel like it makes up for the poor plot line. So if you were to ask me how was the story or how was the end, I would say the ending was probably not that good. But how was the movie? I liked the movie.
Right. So you had a good time, is what you're saying. Paul, what about you?
എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ഇഷ്ടമായ ഒരു മൂവിയായിരുന്നു. ഒരു ആക്ഷൻ കോമിക് മൂവി, എൻജോയബിൾ, ഇങ്ങനെ കണ്ടിരിക്കുക. പിന്നെ പ്ലോട്ടൊന്നും അത്ര ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് അല്ലാത്തൊരു മൂവി പോലെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നി. ആക്ടിങ്ങും ഭയങ്കര എൻജോയബിൾ ആണ്. തമാശ കുറെ പല തമാശ മറ്റേ ഫോക്സിന്റെ മാർവൽ മൂവീസ് ആയിട്ട് ലിങ്ക് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന പല എല്ലാവർക്കും മനസ്സിലാവില്ല, എന്നാലും നമുക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ കണ്ട ഇഷ്ടാവും. അങ്ങനത്തെ ചില സാധനങ്ങളെല്ലാം എനിക്ക് തോന്നി. എനിക്കൊരു നന്നായിട്ട് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട ഒരു മൂവിയായിരുന്നു.
Okay. What about you, Nikhil?
maybe I'm the odd one out here, so I don't like superhero genre movies. Mostly MCUവിൽ വരുന്ന പടങ്ങളൊന്നും എനിക്ക് യൂഷ്വലി ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടാറില്ല. Because I feel that it is more like a template type of a padam. So there's many cameos, there will be kore forced comedy, there will be multiverse concept and all.
എന്താ നിനക്ക് ജാടയാണോ?
ജാടല്ല.
അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇഷ്ടമില്ലാത്ത. I'm just kidding, but yeah, go on.
I think they are putting out so much content and I'm not following it for so long. So I think last movie I've seen of Marvel is, I think, Spider-Man. We went together. I think you were there and Pillai was there. But adu kanyattu I was not following up with these movies. So maybe that's the reason I didn't get connected to this movie. I didn't like this movie as much as I thought I would.
The last serious movie that I also went to watch was Spider-Man I think it was the third one, the one in which he dies.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
third one
think
is the one
yeah,
with
Yeah,
everybody,
the one
one
with
right?
with
everybody. Yeah, that was
all
the
the Spider-Mans. Yeah.
Yeah.
even before that. I think we stopped. Like I stopped watching Marvel. There were a couple movies that came out in between, but then I saw Spider-Man, and then I've completely dropped it ever since. It's spun off into web series and all that direction. And like Nikhil said, Marvel does have this trope of trying to make all humor that which I feel is what Iron Man first put out. That kind of quick-witted humor, uh, like on the fly, not definitely depending on the set pieces for the humor per se, but just the dialogue. They tried to copy that formula in Thor Ragnarok, in the Thor movies as well. But then because Taika Waititi was
Yeah.
there, he was able to,
I think
yeah,
Guardians also.
in Guardians as well. But I guess specifically for Guardians and Thor Ragnarok, the directors were able to bring in something a little bit different as far as the comedy was
Right.
concerned, which the other movies didn't have. But Deadpool, I felt
Right.
like was little, it didn't fit into the same trash can, trash bin comedy that the other Marvel movies were. Mainly, it's got something to do with the fact that Deadpool can talk to the audience, so he can pull out from more
Yeah.
comedy.
ഞാൻ ഈ മൂവി തിയേറ്ററിലല്ല കണ്ടത്. സോ മേ ബി ഇഫ് ഐ വാച്ച്ഡ് ഇൻ തിയേറ്റർ, സോ ഐ ജസ്റ്റ് വാച്ച്ഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഇൻ TV ടുഡേ. സോ തിയേറ്ററിൽ
Yeah.
കണ്ടിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ മേ ബി ഐ വുഡ് ഹാവ് ഫൗണ്ട് സം ഓഫ് ദ ജോക്സ് ഫണ്ണി. ബട്ട് ഞാൻ TV കണ്ട കാരണം ഐ ഡിഡ്ന്റ് ഫൈൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ദാറ്റ് funny.
I feel like so I watched it in the theater, but I also didn't specifically like the movie as such. But as these guys rightly mentioned, it is entertaining, no doubt about it. It's got a lot of jokes which land, it's got a lot of action. So it keeps you hooked, it keeps you entertained, especially if you're someone who's been watching Marvel through the years, kind of what's happening. So it's entertaining for sure, but quite a bit to say about this whole thing. So I thought how we can split this is I've split it into three bits. So we won't go in depth about the movie as such also. When we'll just speak about certain sequences, maybe certain scenes, because I think as one common thing all of us said is that it's not a serious movie. So it's not something we want to go in depth into, but we can speak about some scenes which we thought were really funny, or maybe what worked, what didn't work. So that would be one bit of this conversation. The other bit I thought we can start with is speaking about Marvel as such. I think Alan did give in some inputs about how Marvel has been, what it means to us, and what we've seen through the years. And we can speak about some of the Deadpool movies as well, which will be the other section, which is also, Deadpool as a character, like what he brings to the movies. I think that also Adam was trying to kind of say in as a snippet to this conversation. So Marvel, I think for me, like how some of you were saying, initially it made a lot of sense. നമ്മളാ Iron Man കണ്ടു തുടങ്ങി. അപ്പോൾ it was like I was following the story closely. Then they started adding, to make it the Avengers, they started adding Thor, they started adding Captain America, and all these characters. They all had their own origin stories. So we were following those movie arcs. I think Spider-Man was its own thing. We were following that as well. Of course, a lot of rights in the issue and stuff like that. I do feel like after this whole Endgame era and everything, the stories kind of stopped making sense to me. And for me personally, it's a little important for me. If I have to be invested in it, I need to know what is happening. നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ TV shows started coming on, and then there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, ഈ പാരലൽ ടൈം ലൈൻ തുടങ്ങിയതിനു ശേഷം that seems to be like the main thing. Like everything has a parallel timeline. It becomes like a convenient thing to use where you want to bring back like a dead character, you can bring them on. So that becomes like a fact of the matter. Alan, you have a point
Yeah,
here?
as far as parallel timings go, I think they've derived it from the comics, because comics have had parallel timelines for a long time, because it's an easy way for them to kill a character and at the same time continue publishing stories with the same character and have, say, a story spun off into, say, an Earth or whatever they call it, 623 or whatever. Then they have the main canon era. So it gives a lot of authors the chance to put their own spin on a character and have a self-contained movie and as such. But yeah, I feel it works better in comics rather than in movies, because in movies, I don't know, for me as such, seeing something happen, like for example, the death of a character, it makes less sense for it to come back unless there is a good enough reason. For example, in Endgame, when Infinity War, they all died in Endgame, they came back. But for this particular instance, getting Wolverine back, I'm a bit conflicted. In general, I would not have liked it, but for some reason, for this particular movie, I was able to suspend my preconceived notions about this finality of death and all. I don't know. I didn't find it this jarring to see him come back that way.
No, but my problem with this, at the end of the day, it's simply like a money conversation, right? Like what will make you more money, they will try to do that. But my issue with this, okay, so like you mentioned, just to touch upon the comics bit, obviously comics it makes sense because my understanding is that there are a lot of different authors who write the comics, right? So it's not the same person continuing the same story. So obviously there are a lot of different authors writing it. So that parallel thing makes sense for them to, if they want to bring back a character, make some story out of it, fine. So നിങ്ങൾ ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് ലിബറൽ, അതായത് ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് what do you call it, ലിബർട്ടി എടുക്കുന്നത് is fine even in, let's say, movies or TV shows. But if there are so many stories happening at the same time, and if you are expected to follow everything and then understand, so me being that kind of a movie watcher, probably if I am trying to, like, എനിക്കിപ്പോൾ ഈ സിനിമ കാണണമെങ്കിൽ I need to know what is happening, only then I can enjoy the movie. Sure. So that may be a me problem. But what I also understand is that there are so many moviegoers who just want to come watch the story. Okay, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ബേസിക് മാർവലിനെ പറ്റി എന്തെങ്കിലും അറിയാം, and ബാക്കി rest of it is just entertainment for you. And that's all you need. You don't need this to stay with you. You don't need, after watching 10 different movies, you don't need to come back and like, oh, ഇത് അന്ന് ഈ സിനിമയിൽ ഇത് സംഭവിച്ചോണ്ടാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇത് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ താല്പര്യം ഉണ്ടാവില്ലായിരിക്കാം. Fair. But I started losing interest in Marvel. I don't know if it's because we are growing older also, probably, or whatever it is. I started losing interest in Marvel simply because now I feel like it's too spread out to enjoy for me personally. It's just too much. Because I can't just randomly pick it up and be like, വെറുതെ ചിലപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് വീട്ടിലിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ കാണാം, but will I be excited that, oh, a new Marvel movie is coming out? I probably won't be. So I've reached that stage, I feel. So, and secondly, to add on to your point, in a movie, when, let's say, a character like Wolverine dies, now I know a lot of people, specifically, like, today when I think about it, it's funny, but like, ഇപ്പൊ സഞ്ജയൊക്കെ വുൾവറീൻ്റെ സിനിമ കണ്ടപ്പോൾ he was telling me that എടാ വുൾവറീൻ മരിച്ച് ഞാൻ ഫുൾ കരച്ചിലായിരുന്നു, അങ്ങനത്തെ സീനൊക്കെ he was telling me about that, right? So, but sure, like, that character makes an impact, and then you are, you feel for that character, and then they're dead, and so you're like sad, and then now you're like, okay, Wolverine's back, so what did you cry for, right? So that kind of thing also happens.
Yeah, but technically that Wolverine was not the person who died.
Spoken like a true producer who's like, yeah, let's make more money out of this shit.
Yeah, but that's what they were going for. But the thing
Yeah.
is, like you said, like there are series and movies and they are trying to make everything connected, and like you said, it's now very hard to follow what is going on. So Deadpool, idilum kore, I think there is references to the series and stuff which maybe I didn't get. നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ maybe you would have got. So I feel that is very difficult for moviegoers like us, like casual case. You have to keep following up with all the content which they are doing, and sometimes it's very weird connections and all. But
Even in this movie, I feel like there is some, I don't know, the whole time travel thing, there is some agency who's looking after it and everything. So somebody else that I watched when I was discussing this movie told me that that particular agency is there in some series. So then I'm like, no, I didn't know that. But it's also very like putting off to know that, okay, some storyline is happening, but I'm not involved in it. And now I have to watch this and I don't know. Personally, it's very icky.
Yeah, this is so just circling back to the conversation about why it works in comics and not in movies. I think this is a Marvel specific problem because Marvel wants everything to be a part of a same broader universe. Which, for example, if you take the three Spider-Man trilogy, the three Spider-Man movies, whatever, three Spider-Man, whatever you call it, where the first one was its own thing, and the guy had its own story. The second one, the Andrew Garfield, had its own thing. Then the story ended. And the third one with the new guy, the kid, is now its own thing.
Tom Holland.
Now, we don't have a problem with these three things existing independently. But say, for example, if they were in the same continuity, like how Marvel is now trying to do its things, now we have a problem with it. So I think it's more of Marvel trying to shoehorn everything into the same universe. That's the problem, rather than these things existing.
പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ പറയട്ടെ, that third Spider-Man movie worked so much because all of them were in it. Now, initially they were all their own stories because they didn't have the rights, and they were their own movies, right? Like, everything was not under the MCU banner. But once they did get it under the MCU banner, that whole hype, then the whole thing became that, okay, all of them are in this movie. So then it's also nostalgia for you, right? Like as a movie viewer who has seen this Spider-Man, like I have seen
Yeah,
those
I think
first Spider-Man movies.
it
Yeah,
works for
but
us because we've seen them together.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what.
but for someone who is young, who's not seen the other two trilogies, they don't care about who these other people are.
But that's the thing, right? Like, so what happens is people our age are now the ones who are primarily there in that field also. Like അവർ നമ്മളെ പോലെ വളർന്ന് എത്തിയിരിക്കുക. അപ്പൊ അവരുടെ ഐഡിയാസ് ആണ് പിച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So they are pitching like, okay, for this particular category, it completely works. But like you rightly said, there will always be a faction for whom something makes sense, and for a faction whom something doesn't make sense. It's like
Yeah, it worked for Spider-Man, but if they keep repeating the same shit, we won't,
of course.
So
Yeah.
ആദ്യം when we saw in Spider-Man, it was like really good. But now if they keep doing it, ആ ഒരു പുതുമ പോവില്ല.
എനിക്കും അങ്ങനെ ഈ സ്പൈഡർമാനും പിന്നെ ഇപ്പൊ ലോഗൻ വോൾവറിൻ തിരിച്ചു വന്ന ഇത്ര നമുക്ക് മറ്റേ പാരലൽ ടൈം ലൈൻ്റെ അത്ര പ്രശ്നം തോന്നാത്ത നമ്മളുടെ ചൈൽഡ്ഹുഡിൽ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് കാണുന്ന കോമിക് മൂവീസ് തന്നെ വോൾവറിൻ എക്സ്മെനും സ്പൈഡർമാൻ്റെ ആണല്ലോ. അതായത് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടെ അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ഇമോഷണൽ ഒരു ഫീലുള്ള ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് ലോഗൻ മരിച്ചുപോയി ഇനി നമുക്ക് ഒരിക്കലും കാണാൻ പറ്റില്ല വിചാരിച്ചിരുന്ന നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ ഉരാശറയും ഒരു ഫാൻ സർവീസ് പോലെ അവർ ചെയ്തെന്നുകൊണ്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു കുറച്ചുകൂടെ അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. ബാക്കി മൾട്ടിപ്പിൾ ഈ ടൈം ലൈൻസ് ഒന്നും നമുക്ക് അത്ര ഇഷ്ടമാവാത്ത എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ആ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സിനെ പറ്റി നമുക്ക് അത്ര ഒരു ഇമോഷണൽ ഇതില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും. മറ്റേ സ്പൈഡർമാന്റെ അവസാനത്തെ എല്ലാരും വന്ന് ഭയങ്കര ഹൈപ്പും ഭയങ്കര സക്സസ് ആയതല്ലേ.
No, but those movies were good movies also. So if they created characters, ഇപ്പോൾ പുതിയ വന്ന characters, if they were good, we might have connected.
Nikhil makes a very good point. The movies are not good.
Sam Raimiയുടെ ഒക്കെ Spider-Man, it had a characteristic. Like even though it wasn't as, I heard that it's not as comic book version as comics വായിച്ചവർക്ക് I think didn't like that version. But from a movie watching experience, that was like really great. And I think it was one of the first superhero movies I think I watched.
You had a very good point in the sense that Sam Raimi ഈ സിനിമകൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കുമ്പോൾ this whole Marvel hype train has not started, right? Like ഇങ്ങനത്തെ പടങ്ങൾ അപ്പോൾ ഇല്ല. So he's still a proper movie director who's trying to make a movie like you would try to make any other movie. But once the whole Marvel thing started and these set of movies started coming in, it became a very template thing. I don't know, I think I was discussing this with Pillai at some point. Marvel movies music and there is no music. You can literally put one music everywhere and it's just the same template thing. And it's largely on like, I think Nikhil, you mentioned that in the beginning. Like it's largely on like the whole same template which is happening. Like starting this and then this and then this, and that's what happens in the whole story.
Yeah, ഈ MCUവിൽ ആകെ ഈ അവഞ്ചേഴ്സിന്റെ തീം മാത്രം
Also there is AC/DC and Tony Stark.
ക്യാരക്ടർ
I have to put it there.
But that is not
There is AC/DC and Tony Stark.
So if you see MCU music movies, the major background score or what they are trying to put is old songs. Ipo Deadpoolum, what we see is that they're putting old songs as a cover for,
But
they are not making any original stuff.
But
it's what I feel.
yeah, but Deadpool in general is an aberration. It's
not about Deadpool.
It's all that those movies are not all. Like for example, if Deadpool were existing, like Deadpool were with Marvel during the whole Avengers thing, Deadpool would still be like this, and it would have old song movies, and the Avengers would have a different feel to it, and Deadpool would always have its unique feel. That is, I think, so it's difficult to imagine this movie as a serious MCU proper canon timeline movie. They would all put in little story beats here and there so that it congeals with the greater universe. But I feel like this is one of those movies that even like how our what do you call it, those shonen anime series had filler episodes. This is like a filler movie which is just fun in between, and Deadpool is okay being a filler movie.
Like you said, Deadpool, maybe the characteristic is that they use this old songs and all, but where oru superhero and music is not memorable in this MCU. I don't know if any
Tony Stark.
AC/DC.
I mean,
I think
Iron Man and Back in
Black, Shoot to Thrill.
But if you think about Nolan Batman,
that had like a trumpet sound all throughout.
Yeah, but it had that theme which we could still, at least I could still remember the theme of Nolan's Batman, or ഈ സാം റൈമിയുടെ സ്പൈഡർമാനിലും ഹാഡ് ദിസ് തീം സോങ് വിച്ച് വാസ് മെമ്മറബിൾ.
It's a very, I don't know, like Nolan is a very different kind of movie maker. Obviously, he's
I think Nolan's movie is also comic book, not comic
Yeah.
book based, right?
No, I do feel like after a point this whole Marvel thing became like a trope where like I don't know. I mean, I can't really say. I'm not saying that these directors are not. They're not incapable, but they're all capable directors. But they're also not like it became like a trope thing where you're saying that okay, if you're making a Marvel movie, you're probably not that kind of movie maker. You know, you're not that kind of movie maker who's trying to make like a serious movie. എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഫീലിംഗ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. There have been so many interviewees who ask all these famous directors like, would you ever be interested in directing a superhero movie? And it's almost like അവർ also feel insulted that oh, how can you ask me that, you know? അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ഇത് ഞാൻ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്.
മറ്റേ വാണ്ട വിഷനിലെ ആക്ട്രസിന്റെ പേരെന്തായിരുന്നു?
എലിസബത്ത് ഓൾസൺ.
എലിസബത്ത് ഓൾസൺ. ആ ആക്ട്രസ് ഈ ഇന്റർവ്യൂവിൽ എന്താ പറയണ്ടായിരുന്നു, അവർ ഈ അവഞ്ചേഴ്സും ഈ മാർവൽ മൂവീസ് ആണ് ജസ്റ്റ് ടു മേക്ക് ഇനഫ് മണി സോ ദേ കൻ ഡു ദ പ്രോജക്ട്സ് ദാറ്റ് ദേ റിയലി വാണ്ട് ടു ഡു.
Yeah.
ആ രീതിയിലാണ് അവരും ഈ പടം കാണുന്നത്. ഇഷ്ടം പൈസ ഉണ്ടാക്കുക, പിന്നെ അവരുടെ ഇന്ത്യൻ മൂവീസ് അവർക്ക് ഇഷ്ടമുള്ളത് ചെയ്യാം. പിന്നെ ഈ സീരീസിന്റെ പ്രശ്നം തന്നെ ആയിരിക്കും, മാർവൽ മാത്രമായിരിക്കില്ല, ഈ പൈററ്റ്സ് സീരീസ് ഇല്ലേ, അതിനകത്ത് ആക്ട്രസ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ഭയങ്കര പ്രായം കുറഞ്ഞ ഒരു ആക്ട്രസ്,
Keira Knightley.
ആ അവരും പറയണ്ടായിരുന്നു, അവർ ഈ മൂവി കയറി കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോ അവർക്ക് ഈ നല്ല റോൾസ് ഒന്നും കിട്ടുന്നില്ല, ആരും കൊടുക്കുന്നില്ല. കാരണം അവൻ ഈ ഡയറക്ടേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ അവരെ കാണുന്ന ഈ സീരിയസ് മൂവീസ് ചെയ്യാത്ത ഒരു ആക്ട്രസ്, പൈസക്ക് വേണ്ടി മാത്രം നടക്കുന്ന ഒരു ആക്ട്രസ് ആയിട്ട് കണ്ടിട്ട്, പക്ഷെ അവര് ഇത് വെച്ച് പൈസ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നു, പിന്നെ അവർക്ക് അവരുടെ വേണ്ട ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ഫിലിംസോ
obviously I think MCUല് ആക്ട് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ their value also increase. I think അവർക്ക് then
No,
their
but like Paul said, I think their value is probably increasing. But how are the directors looking at them? Like, probably not just a Marvel thing, but I've also seen that ഒരു franchise movie ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു actor. For example, let's take someone like Vin Diesel. Would someone seriously consider casting Vin Diesel in like a different movie? They wouldn't. Like, he probably is not the first person that comes to their mind. So there are so many
Harry
actors. So
Potter.
I've seen very few actors. Yeah, of course. Daniel Radcliffe. How many other movies have you seen Daniel Radcliffe in? Probably not many. But I think I can only think of very few actors who have done a franchise and also done serious movies. So Daniel Craig is the only one that honestly comes to mind right now. He's proper James Bond, right? Like, you know, he's there, but he's also done other serious movies like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and stuff like that. Yeah, Paul.
ട്വൈലൈറ്റിലെ ആക്ടർ ഇല്ലേ, റോബർട്ട്
Pattinson, he's
yeah.
really
അവർക്കും
pushed in. Yeah.
ഭയങ്കര ഒരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിരുന്നു ആ
Yeah.
സീരീസ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്. അവർക്ക് നല്ല, കാരണം അവരൊരു സീരിയസ് ആക്ടറായിട്ട് അവരെ കാണുന്നു, അവര്
Correct.
ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കിയിട്ട് പിന്നെ ഈ ലൈറ്റ് ഹൗസും ചില പടങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് അവർക്ക് അവരുടെ ഒരു ലെവൽ കൂട്ടി വന്ന് ഇപ്പൊ അവർക്ക് നല്ല
Yeah.
പടങ്ങളൊക്കെ കിട്ടുന്നത്. ആ ടാഗ് അവർക്ക് മാറ്റാൻ തന്നെ നല്ല സമയം എടുത്തായിരുന്നു.
Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, ഈ അടുത്ത ബോങ് ജൂങ് ഹോന്റെ പടത്തില് മിക്കി 47 I think it's called, and Robert Pattinson is the lead. പാരസൈറ്റിന്റെ ഡയറക്ടർ ഉണ്ട്. So it's like
Yeah.
the most hyped movie right now. Like, so it's pretty
I think
great.
റോബർട്ട് പാറ്റിസൺ ഇപ്പോൾ കുറേ അടിപൊളി പടങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്
Yeah.
റീസെൻ്റ്ലി.
No, he's also
really
a really
nice,
good
yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
നമ്മൾ ട്വൈലൈറ്റ് സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾ കുറെ കളിയാക്കുമായിരുന്നു, പക്ഷേ he's actually a really good actor, and I think Paul rightly said that he's taken time to prove himself. Like, and it's very difficult to come out of that franchise trope. So while it might help you make money, it's probably like how you want your career to progress really lies in there. But yeah, that's an interesting point to bring in.
Did you guys feel like this guy Robert Downey had a problem with Iron Man and Sherlock Holmes and all of the other things? But maybe because he plays only himself in those movies.
So while you are a fan of Robert Downey Jr., what I want to say
Marvel
is
wouldn't
that
exist without him.
No, of course he's great as Tony Stark. I think it's very difficult for me to imagine Iron Man otherwise, but it's also probably നമ്മൾ ആ ഏജ് മുതൽ കണ്ടുവരുവാണ്, no doubt about it. But I do feel like Robert Downey Jr. is not a very versatile actor, honestly speaking.
Marvel wouldn't exist.
Every movie that I've seen him in, his dialogue delivery is very, very similar. I think the only thing where I've seen him a little different is in Oppenheimer, for which he's won the Oscar and everything. But Adilum, I do feel like there are some scenes where he's losing that ആ ഒരു വൊക്കാബുലറി. പെട്ടെന്ന് പുള്ളി ആ സ്പീഡിൽ ഡയലോഗ് പറയുന്ന രീതിയിലേക്ക് പോകും, പുള്ളിയോട് അറിയാതെ കൈവിട്ടു. Of course, he has a huge success story. He's come from a lot of difficulty and all those things. Understandable. But I'm saying, if you ask me like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. a crazy great actor, I would not say
One
yes.
role.
Yeah.
He's the only guy who's able to play an Australian playing an African American.
Yeah, that was pretty killer actually. That Tropic Thunder is a very, very special movie, I feel. I've seen quite some time back, but it's pretty fun. Yeah,
അതിനകത്ത് റോബർട്ട് ഡൗഡി ജൂനിയറും കൂടുതൽ എനിക്ക് നന്നായി തോന്നിയ ടോം
Tom
ക്രൂസിന്റെ
Cruise is pretty intense.
ആക്ടിങ്ങും
Yeah.
ശരിക്കും മനസ്സിലാവാത്ത രീതിയിൽ
Yeah. ഞാൻ ആ സമയത്ത് കണ്ടപ്പോ I feel like I saw the credits roll and they're like Tom Cruise and I'm like ഇതിലെവിടെ Tom Cruise? I had to like really see that. Oh my god, it's actually him. Pretty good movie. I think we've digressed quite a bit. Bring it back to
Yeah,
Deadpool.
but Hugh Jackman is really
ഞാൻ
nice.
digress ചെയ്യുമ്പോ പിന്നെയും
അല്ല Hugh Jackman അല്ലേ ഇപ്പോൾ Wolverine ഉള്ളത്?
Yeah, Hugh
I mean,
Jackman as an actor, you're saying is
Yeah, Hugh Jackman as an actor. And ഈ മൂവിയിലും his screen presence is so good. Like his മുഖം കാണുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ like at least what I like most about this movie is Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman.
Yeah.
He was like
And
really.
I think Hugh Jackman, I think a lot of people find it difficult to imagine somebody else as Wolverine.
Yes.
And of course, it also goes with the role that he doesn't age and all those things, or he ages
He is
slowly and
Wolverine.
everything. So they've just
He
cast
is
him.
Wolverine.
Yeah,
There's no
so
one else playing Wolverine.
yeah, correct.
But he can do other roles also.
Yeah, he's a good actor in general. He's got
The Cavalry
skill.
could play Wolverine.
അതായത് റോബർട്ട് ഡൗണി ജൂനിയർ വെച്ച് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ നന്നായി
Alala,
ആക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു.
Calvary.
Yeah.
Calverine was also a good Wolverine. With Henry Cavill playing Wolverine. They call him the Cavalry.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. I think just to kickstart a convo about Deadpool, like I think Alan, you lightly touched upon it, where Deadpool as a character is of course a very fun character. Like I think which is why a lot of these movies work, because you watch Deadpool and it's very funny. He breaks the fourth wall quite a bit. It's very entertaining, and also there is no like he's the only one who actually kills people like on screen, and then he doesn't care about it. Like other superheroes are not very okay to kill other people, but he doesn't care about any of those things. He used a lot of swear words. So I think because of that, I do feel that they found it very difficult to make a Deadpool movie because they didn't know how to execute and make this character come.
Oh, they
fresh.
tried.
I think, yeah. So, but I do think Ryan Reynolds has done a lot to bring that character to screen. I feel like he's involved a lot in a lot of these, in the writing process, in the production, in making this come alive. And he also kind of realized that people really like him as Deadpool. So obviously he wanted to cash in on that. He's very funny, but you can really imagine him as Deadpool, and then it's very difficult for somebody else to probably pull this thing off. So what do you guys think about Deadpool as a series, as a movie? I think there have been 3 movies now, but what do you guys think about Deadpool as such in general, in terms of comparing it to other superheroes?
So there was a Deadpool way back in the day. During the X-Men Wolverine days, if you guys remember, Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool once, and he had, during the first few scenes when he was there, I guess he was giving that quick-witted Deadpool delivery where he would constantly talk, and then I've seen it in the interviews that he mentioned that they came the writer's strike or something like that happened, and Fox decided that the best thing to do would be to so shut the character whose nickname Merc with a mouth. So to take away the few things that he can do. And then they gave him laser eyes and whatnot. So Ryan Reynolds was pretty pissed about the way that character ended. And I think he was during this recent iteration, during Deadpool 1, he was involved in releasing the test footage to the public to garner whatever the little buzz and this thing around everything, and they basically forced Fox into releasing a very minimal budget superhero movie, which like how Robert Downey is to Tony Stark, I feel Ryan Reynolds is to Deadpool. There is an essence of the character that they in general are. The quick-witted the narcissism that Tony Stark has, Robert Downey has, the verbal diarrhea that Deadpool has, Ryan Reynolds possesses. So these two are roles made for individual characters. And as far as the series, just to say it in 2 or 3 sentences, liked 1, didn't like 2, liked the recent.
I think the first one especially I also really liked. It was very, very fresh from what we've seen before. And I think it had some really nice action sequences and stuff like that. And of course this breaking of the fourth wall and everything, making fun of your own self, making fun of others. So you can imagine why it's difficult to involve Deadpool into like another Marvel movie. Right? Like ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു അവഞ്ചേഴ്സിൽ ഒരു ഡെഡ്പൂളിനെ കൊണ്ടുവരണമെങ്കിൽ ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ക്യാരക്ടറിനെ to revolve that character around the other people becomes like very, very difficult, which is why I do feel like they're their own movies. He's not really there in any of the other movies. Maybe some small side characters are there here and there mixing into it. but otherwise he's not in those movies. And I think it does feel like oru filler movies where it's purely just entertainment and there's no real impact to the story as such എന്നുള്ളൊരു feeling.
ഡെഡ്പൂൾ മാത്രമാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു മാർവലില് R-rated ആയിട്ടുള്ള
Yeah.
മൂവി ആയിട്ട്. അവർ ഈ ഫോക്സിനെ അക്വിസിഷൻ എടുത്തപ്പോ അല്ല അവർക്ക് കിട്ടിയ റൈറ്റ്സ് തന്നെ
Yeah.
20th സെഞ്ചുറി ഫോക്സ് 21st സെഞ്ചുറി ഫോക്സിന് മാർവല് മറ്റേ ഡിസ്നി മേടിച്ചപ്പോ അവർക്ക് ഡെഡ്പൂളിന്റെ റൈറ്റ്സ് കിട്ടി. എന്റെ അന്നേരം എന്തോ ചോദിച്ചായിരുന്നു നമുക്ക് ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. അവർക്ക് ഇതായിരുന്നു ടെൻഷനായിരുന്നു. അന്നേരം അവൻ പറഞ്ഞു നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മാത്രം R-rated തരാം, പക്ഷെ ട്രെയിലറിലും ഇതിലൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ ക്ലിയർ ആയി മെൻഷൻ ചെയ്യണം.
Yeah, I think it released as a separate entity, right? When it first came, the first part was not part of the MCU, I guess, right? Initially, when
ഫസ്റ്റ് മൂവി എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഫോക്സ് തന്നെ ഇറക്കിയതാ. സെക്കൻഡും ഫോക്സ് ഇറക്കിയതാ. തേർഡ് ഈ മൂവി ഇറങ്ങുന്ന മുന്നെയാണ് ഈ ഡിസ്നി ഫോക്സിനെ 20th സെഞ്ചുറി ഫോക്സിനെ അക്വയർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് പിന്നെയാണ് ഇവർക്ക് കൂടുതൽ ഇന്റഗ്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയ മാർവലും ഇതൊക്കെയായിട്ട് ഈ പടം.
Yeah, എനിക്കും ഫസ്റ്റ് ഡെഡ്പൂൾ I liked because like you said, it was fresh and the fourth wall breaking was something new what we saw at that time. And also ഈ gore, ഈ സൂപ്പർ ഹീറോ മൂവീസിൽ ഗോർ എത്ര ഉള്ളത്
Yeah.
I think started with Deadpool, I guess.
Yeah.
But ഇപ്പോൾ അത് I felt it repetitive. I didn't see the second part. ഞാൻ ഈ തേർഡ് കാണുമ്പോഴാണ് when I researched I saw the second part.
Makes no difference to your life.
Yeah.
It's okay.
He mentions that in this movie that Cable didn't test well with the audience footage, with the test
Yeah.
audience. So it's,
Yeah.
I think, generally regarded the second one is not a good,
I think it's self-aware, this movie.
extremely, which is what makes
Yeah.
it unique and fun.
But it keeps making the same mistake they mention in the movie.
ഞാൻ ആക്ച്വലി ഈ സിനിമ കാണാൻ പോയത് സോ ഐ ഹവ് ബിൻ വാണ്ടിങ് ടു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് 4DX തിയേറ്റേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. ആൻഡ് ഈ 4DX സോ ഐ ബിൻ സീയിങ് ദിസ് തിയേറ്റർ എവരിവെയർ. ആൻഡ് ദെൻ ലൈക്ക് ഏതെങ്കിലും പടത്തിന് പോവാം. ദെൻ ലൈക്ക് ആക്ഷൻ പടത്തിന് പോകുന്നതായിരിക്കും മേക്സ് മോർ സെൻസ് ടു ഗോ ടു ദിസ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് ഫോർ ദിസ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് തിങ്, റൈറ്റ്? എന്നാലേ നമുക്ക് യൂസ് വരുള്ളൂ വാട്ട് എവർ. സോ ഞാൻ ശരി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ വെൻ ദിസ് മൂവി കേം ഔട്ട് ഐ ആം ലൈക്ക് പെർഫെക്റ്റ് ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റി ടു ഗോ ഫോർ എ 4DX മൂവി. ഡെഡ്പൂൾ കാണാം, നല്ല രസമായിരിക്കും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞാൻ PVRൽ ഇവിടെയുള്ള ഒരു തിയേറ്ററിൽ ബുക്ക് ചെയ്തു. എന്നിട്ട് ഞാനും എൻ്റെ ഫ്രണ്ട് സൈഡിൻ്റെ കൂടെ ഞാൻ പോയത്. സോ ഞങ്ങൾ രണ്ടുപേരും പോയി. അവിടെ പോയിട്ട് വി ഗോട്ട് ഇൻ ടു ദ തിയേറ്റർ ആൻഡ് നോട്ടീസ് ദാറ്റ് ഈ 4DXൽ സീറ്റ്സ് എങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ദർ ആർ ബഞ്ച് ഓഫ് 4 seats. സോ 4 seats and then small cut and then 4 seats, അങ്ങനെയാണ് അതിനെ ക്ലബ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഐ ആം ഇൻ ദി ലാസ്റ്റ് സീറ്റ് ഓഫ് വൺ bucket and then he's sitting beside me but in the other bucket. So we are both sitting next to each other but in two different buckets. So he's also watching 4DX for the first time, so we are like very excited. So അവിടെ അവർ പുറത്ത് വലിയ അക്ഷരത്തിൽ എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്, എന്താ പറയുക, യുവർ ക്ലോത്ത്സ് മേ ഗെറ്റ് വെറ്റ്, യു കാൻ ടേക്ക്, വേറെ എന്തൊക്കെയോ സാധനങ്ങൾ അങ്ങനെ എന്തൊക്കെയോ എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ ഫുൾ എക്സൈറ്റ്മെന്റ് പോകും, ഇനിയിപ്പോൾ തണുക്കുവോ, എന്താ പറയുക, മേല് വെള്ളാവോ, വാട്ട് എവർ ഓൾ ദാറ്റ് സ്റ്റഫ്. So we go in and then we sit. So I'm also sitting, he also sitting. And then the movie starts, and obviously the movie starts with a like super nice action sequence, right? Like great starting sequence, I felt. That's where I think Nikhil, that's the song, everything is used. Movie starts, I'm sitting in one proper like കുറച്ച് ഞാൻ ബാക്കിലെ സീറ്റ് ബുക്ക് ചെയ്തു. obviously ഞാൻ ഇരിക്കുക, എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് there are 2 other people sitting in my bucket. Okay, this song starts, movie started, and then there is this action is happening, and I can see from the corner of my eye everybody's seat is shaking, moving and everything. I am sitting stationary, and at this point I am like, is this 4DX also? But then I can see that I turned right to see Saiden, and Saiden's seat is properly shaking and moving and everything. Okay, and people are laughing. അല്ലടാ, ഞങ്ങളുടെ സെക്ഷൻ വർക്ക് ആവുന്നില്ല ബേസിക്കലി. ദാറ്റ്സ് വാട്ട് ഇസ് ഹാപ്പനിങ്. സോ ഐ എം ലൈക്ക്, സിനിമയും തുടങ്ങി കഴിഞ്ഞു, നമുക്കാണെങ്കിൽ ഇത് കാണാനും എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ല. വി കോൾ സം അറ്റൻഡർ ദെയർ. ഞാനും ഈ രണ്ടുപേരും കൂടി ഉണ്ട്, ഞങ്ങൾ വിളിച്ചു. അതിൻ്റെ ഐ എം മിസ്സിങ് ദ ഹോൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് സീക്വൻസ് വിച്ച് ഇസ് ഹാപ്പനിങ്. സോ ഐ എം ലൈക്ക്, ഇവിടെ ഇതാണ് പറ്റുന്നില്ല. സോ ദേ ആർ ലൈക്ക്, വാട്ട് കെൻ വി ഡു? ലൈക്ക് ദേ ആർ ഓൾസോ ലൈക്ക്, വി ഡോണ്ട് നോ വാട്ട് ടു ഡു. സോ ദി ഓൺലി അതർ അവൈലബിൾ സീറ്റ് ഇസ് ഇൻ ദ ഫ്രണ്ട്. So I had to go sit in the front and watch this movie. Then so I'm like, first of all, I was like very pissed off from the beginning. Like I was not in the mood because ഞാൻ കഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട് ആദ്യം തന്നെ സീറ്റ് ബുക്ക് ചെയ്ത് ബാക്കിൽ ഇരിക്കാന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് 4 day എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് പോയതാ. So So then I decided that, and then max to max, അതല്ലാതെ 4D ഇവര് വണ്ടി ഓടിച്ച് പോകുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ മേല് കാറ്റടിക്കും. That is the only thing I felt. Other than that, there was nothing. Your seat will shake a little bit when there is a fight scene, and there is no, like, it's not like it's shaking according to the fight scene. It is just shaking in a sequence, and that's it. So then I decided, okay, 4DX.
How much was it?
I think it was some 400 or 500,
അത്രേ
something
ഉള്ളൂ.
like that. അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂന്ന് 500 രൂപ കൊടുത്തിട്ട് ഞാൻ ഫ്രണ്ടിൽ കാര്യമില്ലാണ്ട് കാറ്റടിച്ചിട്ട് വന്ന്. But anyway, that was my little experience of watching this movie in 4DX. But അല്ലാതെ തിയേറ്ററിൽ people obviously seem to be enjoying it.
4DX ആകുമ്പോ 3D ആണോ?
Yeah, so 4DX is 3D glass plus these seats shaking and everything, whatever.
വെള്ളം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
Huh?
വെള്ളം വീണു.
വെള്ളം വീണില്ല.
വെള്ളമൊക്കെ വരാൻ
എടാ സ്നോ സീനൊക്കെ ഇല്ലേ, എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ ഞാൻ
blood
പ്രതീക്ഷിച്ചു,
തെറിക്കുമ്പോ
ഒന്നും വന്നില്ല. Have you guys seen in 4DX? Have any of you watched
No,
a movie
never.
in 4DX?
I've heard of it. I've
Yeah.
always felt like it has to be a movie specifically made for it. It can't be a commercial movie where, because I've heard that 4DX involves smell and this wind and all that. So it has to be something we experience in an amusement park where they have a movie that they filmed for this. It can't be you go to Dune and only ഇങ്ങനെ ചൂട് കാറ്റിങ്ങനെ അടിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്.
Yeah, I actually saw this in the Universal Studios ഞാൻ പോയില്ലേ. But there was this actual 4DX thing for this Shrekന്റെ ഒരു like I think 20 minutes a short film പോലെ. But it's completely ഈ 4DX പോലെ seats will move and വെള്ളമൊക്കെ വരും. ലൈക്ക് ഡോങ്കി വിൽ, മറ്റേ ഡോങ്കിയില്ലേ അത് മൂക്കി ചീറ്റുമ്പോൾ വെള്ളം മൊത്തം വരും അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ. So it was like really fun ഒരു sequence.
That makes sense. Going for a normal movie, I always thought that it's not going to sync up. Even
it should be
made specifically for it. Yeah.
Your sensibilities
3D തന്നെ 3D മൂവി തന്നെ എനിക്ക് അത്ര
it's very dark. I can't see anything.
നമ്മുടെ ഈ വിഷ്വൽ ഇത് തന്നെ ക്ലാരിറ്റി ആയാലും നമുക്ക് എൻജോയ് ചെയ്യും. ഇരുട്ടായിട്ട് ഇരിക്കും, പിന്നെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഗിമിക്കി ആയിട്ട് എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെറിയ സാധനം ഉണ്ടാവും, വല്ലതും ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് ഇങ്ങനെ വന്നു പോകും. അതാണ് നമുക്ക് ഒരു 3D ആയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും തോന്നുക. 3D ആകുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഐമാക്സ് 2D തന്നെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു എനിക്ക് ഏറ്റവും ഇഷ്ടം കാണാൻ.
So I think our suggestion to everybody is please don't fall for these tricks of 3D, 4DX. Please go watch movies max to max in IMAX. I think IMAX, like you said, makes a lot of difference. Makes a lot of sense.
3D വരുന്നുണ്ട്.
Burrows. Guys, Burrows. Not to speak about Mohanlal and Burrows in this episode, but so I think 3 of us watched it in the theater. Only Nikhil has seen it not in theaters. Paul എവിടെ കണ്ടത്? ടാബിൽ കണ്ടത്. നീ ഇപ്പൊ വന്നിട്ടാണോ കണ്ടത്? യു ഹാഡ് നോട്ട് വാച്ച്ഡ് ഇറ്റ് പ്രീവിയസ്ലി.
ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ അറിയില്ല.
In today's days,
guys, we do not support piracy in this podcast.
We currently do not support piracy.
At this point in time, we are not.
For the last few years, we are piracy free.
We are not. But I think theater experience was, for me personally, not so much. I think, Alan, did you enjoy it in the theater?
Yeah, absolutely. It was like.
Did you watch it in 3D or 2D?
I think I watched in 3D. Me too. I also prefer watching in 2D. But there are certain movies that are like this one. There are more 3D screenings than 2D screenings. So if you want to grab this thing, you have to watch 3D. I haven't watched the A-Team in the theater, but similar to the A-Team, these type of movies in my head fall under the A-Team category, where it's action and comedy, and it's something to go and enjoy. You will have a good time. Of course, there won't be these YouTube essays made on this about the story of Deadpool and all, but in the moment, and of course, I feel like this movie has some amount of rewatch value as well. I watched it again recently, and I really liked it. The nature of this quick-witted, this fast-timed verbal diarrhea type comedy makes it so that you miss a lot of things during the first watch, which you find new when you watch it again. So I watched like 3/4 of the movie again, and it was nice. I liked it. Oh, I didn't watch the ending because it was not.
Say that again.
The rewatch was.
So you're right. Like, it's entertainment, but it's not. There's no story as such to speak of, I think, because there is really no story as such. There is randomly they want Wolverine. Everything is obviously always to save the universe or save the world, because otherwise there is no higher
Ryan Reynolds
stake
wants to
than
save
that.
only 6 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So I think time travel, parallel universe, great starting sequence. I think the looking for random Wolverines part was nice, where in every universe Wolverine is like a little different. I think
But I think ഇതുപോലത്തെ വേറെ I think in Avengers or something there's a similar scene where Wolverine they're trying to hire people and they go to Wolverine.
No, I think
That's an
that's in
X-Men.
X-Men.
Magneto
X-Men
and
ആണ്.
Charles,
X-Men
they
ആണ്.
go hiring people.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I got
Yeah,
that
but
in the
അതിൽ എന്താന്ന് വെച്ചാല് in that particular movie, what I remember, it's the whatever the Earth in the Wolverine they go to hire, and then he's just like get lost.
yeah.
Words changed for the podcast. But in this movie, they are showing Wolverines from different parallel universes and how they are different or whatever. So that was okay, whatever, nice. And so I'm just naming bits from what some bits and scenes that I liked. So അതിന്റെ ഇടയിൽ if you guys want to interject, or if you feel like there are some other scenes you want to talk about, just feel
The
free.
Chris Evans scene has to be mentioned.
Yeah, no, I'm reaching there.
I think there was so much cameos, right, in this movie.
Yeah, so I think a lot of cameos. Whatever, they reach the Void place. So Void ആണ് where forgotten heroes and dead people, and I don't know exactly what it is, but there are a lot of random people there which you've forgotten or you've seen in some movies, and they're no longer there anymore.
അത് മറ്റേ പോലീസ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ടൈം ലൈൻ പോലീസ്, അവർക്ക് എന്തോ ഒരു
Yeah,
പേരുണ്ട്.
yeah.
സോ അവരുടെ ഡിവൈസ് വെച്ച് നിങ്ങൾ സാപ്പ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ പോണ ഒരു സ്ഥലമാണ് അത്. ഒരു ട്രാഷ് ക്യാൻ ഓഫ് ദ യൂണിവേഴ്സ് പോലെ അൺഡിസൈബിൾസ് എല്ലാവരും ഇട്ടിട്ട് അവരവിടെ മരിക്കുന്നു എന്നൊരു രീതിയിലാണ്.
Fair. So ഈ undesirable സ്ഥലത്ത് വരെ എത്തുന്നു, and that's when I think your Chris Evans bit happens. That was
That
really
was
funny.
really good.
But I don't know why Chris Evans.
He was from the
he was
Fox era, Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean,
He
the trope was to show that he was not Captain America, but he's the Fantastic Four guy, right?
and
Yeah,
he's also
yeah.
another fast-talking this guy, like
Yeah.
like an arrogant, fast-talking bastard type guy. And
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Now Chris Evans is one of those actors who's tried to make other movies, but he's been stuck in that trope of Captain America or whatever, right? Like you can't really think of another Chris Evans movie where he's done like a substantial
Scott
job.
Pilgrim
And you're
was
like, wow,
the
yeah,
one.
this is what I remember. It's a very, very like thin line. That's the point we're trying to make. But
not everyone can be a
Or
Shakespearean
entertaining.
actor. He is a good actor in that role. He's a good Scott Pilgrim
What, you want to
villain.
make some
He's
points?
a good Captain America. He's a good Human Torch.
I think
He
he was
not
there
a
in
good
Knives
human
Out
torch. He's
also.
just there. That's all.
Ah,
Yeah, Knives Out also.
He was
like
pretty much the same, I guess.
it's a real role. That's all. He was also there in that
Right?
Danish
I think
English
they
movie.
cast him
Whatever that
because
is.
he was typecast, so no one would
Yeah.
think he's the who as.
No, this particular thing, obviously, they wanted everyone to think that, oh my god, yeah, Captain America is back. Even Deadpool is like, oh, he's going to say Avengers Assemble. And then it's funny because of that, obviously. And I think that last after title sequence,
Oh,
end
yeah,
sequence,
yeah.
again, they show that
Did
he actually
you
said all
guys
this stuff.
waited in the theater to see that?
Yeah, I
or-
wait in
Yeah.
theater.
You always do that for a Marvel movie, kind of. Whatever.
But off late, it's not that worth it,
Of
right?
late, I
ഇത്രയും wait
watched
ചെയ്തിട്ട്.
the
I
Marvel
mean,
movie in the theater.
no, but I mean, whatever they try to show in the end bits. Previously, I guess it had some spoiler or some, what do you say? എന്താ പറയാ?
It was
Spoiler അല്ലല്ലോ,
impactful
what
in
is-
the
cliffhanger. Yeah, it was a cliffhanger.
Of things to come. It would show you
Yeah.
something. Yeah. But it really doesn't matter. That's why it's in the end sequence. Nobody gives a shit. But okay, it's there. So because now you know you expect it in a Marvel movie, so you go and sit there.
previously in the like in the Avenger movies or during the Iron Man, Captain America movies, they would show someone like Thanos or they would show Loki.
Yeah.
So it was something, or they would show a piece of Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So it mattered in the greater scheme of things. In Deadpool, this thing, the Chris Evans sequence doesn't matter much, but it's fun.
It's just funny. Yeah, that's all. പിന്നെന്താണ് അതിലുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്? പിന്നെ there is return of Blade, Elektra. I was like, when did Jennifer Garner ever do an Elektra? But apparently it's there. And there is a random Channing Tatum who's trying to speak in French, which is
I
very it's
still
funny.
would like to say it was a French accent. It was a French colony, France colonizing some African country, and that's where the accent is from.
Yeah, it's a mix of some brand. I don't
It's
even
a
know why.
French African accent.
Also, why is that Wolverine girl there? Like, what is she doing there
She's
now?
also banished.
She's also undesirable.
X69.
She's banished.
So I
എനിക്കറിയില്ല.
think
I don't
basically they
understand.
are doing a meta thing that all these characters are now forgotten. Like
Yeah.
no one ഒരു audienceും doesn't.
ഈ വില്ലന്മാരുണ്ടല്ലോ കുറെ മറ്റേ ഈ സേബർ ടൂത്ത്
Yeah,
അങ്ങനത്തെ
I think
കുറെ
all these are
എക്സ്മെനിൽ കണ്ട വില്ലൻസ്
forgotten
ഒക്കെ.
people who
Yeah.
unmemorable people.
I think that Rhino character.
So
all
are
that
you
stuff.
saying
Yeah, bro.
Ant-Man is also
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these things stop making sense. So after one point, I'm just like, let's just go with it, right? Like I
So
should
what was
stop
that?
trying.
Why did they show Ant-Man? ഇത്
I think it's because the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie flop.
yeah, maybe. Okay, Paul, you had to say something.
ഇവന്റെ മെയിൻ എക്സിക്യൂട്ടീവ് പ്രൊഡ്യൂസർ കെവിൻ ഫൈഗി എന്തോ പറഞ്ഞൊരു പുള്ളിയാണ് ഇതൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണേ.
Production.
പുള്ളി ആദ്യം തുടങ്ങിയത് അസോസിയേറ്റ് പ്രൊഡ്യൂസറായിട്ട് ആദ്യത്തെ എക്സ്മെനും എലക്ട്രയും സ്പൈഡർമാനിലാണ് തുടങ്ങിയത്, മറ്റേ ഈ ഫോക്സിന്റെ മാർവൽ മൂവീസിൽ. അപ്പൊ ഇവര് പറയണ്ടായിരുന്നു പുള്ളി വർക്ക് ചെയ്ത ഫോക്സിന്റെ മാർവൽ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സിന് ഒരു ഓഡ് ടു ദ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ദാറ്റ് യൂസ് ടു. അത് വെച്ചാ പുള്ളി കരിയർ തന്നെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്ത് വന്ന പ്രൊഡക്ഷന്റെ കരിയറൊക്കെ. അതാണ് ഈ എലക്ട്ര ഇവരിടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് ആ സൂപ്പർ വില്ലൻസും സൂപ്പർ ഹീറോസും ഒക്കെ ആഡ് ചെയ്ത് വരണമെന്നാ പറയണത്.
I think, yeah, like you're right. I think it's largely a lot of X-Men villains and then this Blade and Electra and all. പിന്നെ ക്യാമിയോടെ ഒരു കളി തന്നെ. Like so many cameos, many cameos.
Now that you mention all these cameos, it felt like they were 90% X-Men characters and very few
Yeah.
non-Fox X-Men people involved in this movie.
Yeah. So ഈ അവസാന എക്സ്മെൻ കുറെ ഡെഡ്പൂൾ വരുമ്പോ ഒന്ന് ബ്ലേക്ക് ലൈവ്ലി ആണെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്.
Yeah, the Lady Pool, she's Blake Lively.
Okay. And his kid is also there.
One of the pools.
Baby.
One of the pool is.
അങ്ങനെ എന്തോ.
And
Very
apparently, have you seen the dog in real life? The dog actually looks like that. The tongue is
No.
real.
Oh, is it?
It can't be that long. Really?
No, it's been a while that I saw that article, but if I remember it correctly, yeah, the dog actually looked like that, and it won. It's like an award-winning dog, the ugliest award, or something like that. And I think
Yeah,
Deadpool likes
not
it so much
really.
because he also looks scarred.
Oh, as a Deadpool as a character. There. Photo കാണിക്കണം.
Is this the actual photo?
That's the dog, yeah. So yeah, that was it, guys. That was Deadpool versus Wolverine. I don't know what more in terms of story or value I had to speak about.
The
as
action
such.
sequences were nice. The fights between the one in the car and one in the
I
field.
like the initial portions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
മറോണന്റെ പാട്ടിന്റെ സീൻ നല്ല രസമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഒരു സൈഡിൽ നിന്ന് 2D ആയിട്ട് സൈഡിൽ നിന്നല്ല നമ്മൾ വിഷ്വലൈസ് ചെയ്യണേ. എന്നിട്ട് ലെഫ്റ്റ് സൈഡിൽ നിന്ന് ഇവർ രണ്ടുപേരും വരുന്നു, റൈറ്റ് സൈഡിൽ ഡെഡ്പൂൾ ആൾക്കാർ വന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. എന്റെ തൊട്ട് മുന്നേ വുൾവറീൻ അവന്റെ കോമിക് ബുക്കിന്റെ കോസ്റ്റ്യൂം ഇടും.
with the yellow
ഇതുവരെ അങ്ങനത്തെ കോസ്റ്റ്യൂം ഇട്ടിട്ടില്ലല്ലോ മൂവീസ്. എന്നിട്ട് ബസ്സിൽ കയറുന്നു, ബസ്സിൽ കയറി കഴിഞ്ഞ് ചാടി വരുമ്പോഴാണോ വുൾവറീന്റെ ഐക്കോണിക് ഇത് പോസ്റ്റർ ഇങ്ങനെ നിന്ന് കയ്യും വെച്ച് നിക്കണേ. അതൊക്കെ ഫാൻ സർവീസ് പോലത്തെ ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് ആയിട്ട് കാണാം.
Basically, it is Hollywood mass.
Exactly.
ചെറിയൊരു മാസ് വേണം. ശരിയാണ്. എന്തായാലും ഈ വിജയ പടത്തിനെ കാട്ടിക്ക് പോയതായിരിക്കും. കുഴപ്പമില്ല. But yeah, I think points wise I have nothing much more to add unless you guys want to speak about something else.
മറ്റേ സെഗ്മെന്റ് ഒക്കെ എന്താ? 3 സെഗ്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നല്ലോ.
ഇത് നമ്മളെല്ലാം കവർ ചെയ്തു.
Maybe everyone could say their favorite superhero movie.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a good question.
Favorite? No, yeah. For me, it's always Captain America: Civil War. I rewatch it a lot of times.
Pretty good.
I really like the movie. I really like. That is one of the movies where I felt like the story was also nice. How?
Yeah, I think that's also Korea derived from the comics. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
But wherever it's derived from, as a movie, you need to watch all the other bits. But I don't know. I felt like that movie had so much in it.
No, it was quite nice. Now that you mentioned it, I remember watching. I've seen it twice in the theaters. I think once I went with one bunch, and then the other time I went with a different bunch. But I was excited to go for the second time. But it also, I think I just want to add on that, not about the movie as such, but I actually enjoy ഞാൻ കുറെ കളിയാക്കും Captain America saying that his superpower is basically gymnastics. He can run fast, he can jump quite a bit, he can whatever super strength and like no real power as such to speak of, but like enhanced gymnastic skills. Drugs അടിച്ച് പമ്പായ പുള്ളി. But having said that, like I actually enjoy a lot of the Captain America action sequences than let's say any of the other superheroes, because I feel like the other superhero action sequences kore VFX involved ആണ്. Because Captain America a lot of it is hand to hand combat. It looks nice because I do feel like he has to do a lot of them by himself, right? Like
Yeah,
Avengers elevator
he
scene
has to
ആയാലും
hold on to an
or
helicopter to keep it from
yeah.
flying off.
And I think നീ പറഞ്ഞ specific Civil War I really like that sequence where I think Winter Soldier and Captain America are fighting Iron Man in
Yeah,
the end. In
exactly. When
that,
he
Hmm.
analyzes the fight
that
pattern and then initiates counters.
നീ Tony Stark fan അത് വേറെ. But it's a really good scene. Like it's a really nice scene. I think it's like a scene framing ഒക്കെ വളരെ നല്ല. It looks really cool. But yeah, so I think it's a good pick. Good superhero favorite.
നോളന്റെ ബാറ്റ്മാൻ സീരീസ്
Yeah. Would you say
ആക്ഷനായാലും ഒരു
Dark Knight
ഇമോഷണലി
specifically?
MCUലോ?
സിയുവിനകത്ത് ആനിമേറ്റഡ് സ്പൈഡർമാൻ,
Oh yeah,
Ah,
the Spider-Man
that was good.
Spider-Verse movies are really good.
ആനിമേറ്റഡ് സ്പൈഡർമാനും
Into the
പിന്നെ
Spider-Verse, all that.
മറ്റേ പടം ഉണ്ടല്ലോ ഗാർഡിയൻസ് ഓഫ് ദി ഗാലക്സി.
Friends is
എനിക്ക്
also
പേഴ്സണലി
really
ഇഷ്ടമാണ്. കുറച്ച് ഇമോഷണലി മറ്റേ വെറുതെ ഒരു തമാശ
yeah.
ചിരിച്ചിരി മാത്രമല്ല, അത് ഇമോഷണലി സീൻസും നല്ല കാര്യങ്ങളായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയ ഒരു പടം.
About
Agree.
the
Fair.
Nolan
Good
Dark
choice.
Knight
നിങ്ങൾക്ക്
series, would it be like as iconic without the Ledger, without Heath Ledger? Would it be?
So
We do
there
regard it
is
in such high this thing. For example, whenever we
no.
talk
So the
about the Dark Knight
problem.
this thing, I really like the second one, the Dark Knight. First one was also good. Third one, I think it's regarded as a good movie. I personally didn't like the third one that much. And the main reason why I like the Dark Knight, the second one, has to do with Heath Ledger. And I feel like I personally feel if Ledger wasn't there, then it would fall to an normal average superhero movie.
I have 2 or 3 points to make in this. First one was okay. So I really like the Batman Nolan series. Batman, honestly, like me, Iniki third, I really liked the third movie. I really liked Tom Hardy's performance and his voice modulation and everything. I felt it was great. Story wise also, it was very like I remember at that point of time I was very hyped to see that movie. Dark Knight, nee parayunna pole Heath Ledger of course is given a really good performance, but there are a lot of people. In fact, like I used to speak to Pillai about this quite a bit, where I used to be like, oh, bhayangara iconic legendary performance, and he would always argue with me saying that would it be considered iconic if he had not died, right? Like angane oru, like would it become a legacy thing if he had not died?
No, I did not know Ledger had died after that after that performance. So regardless of that, I like that performance in general. Now, would it have been a legacy? Probably
Maybe
yes,
not.
but I think the whole lore to it, where he lost his mind, he became crazy, he was inside the hotel room for days on end doing this thing. Yeah, that has all added to the lore of it. But I saw that movie without knowing all of these things, and I really like the villain.
I think good call. Even Guardians, I think, like you mentioned, I really like the Guardian series. They feel different from your usual Marvel movies. Chris Pratt also. I think Chris Pratt largely kind of changed his image as an actor with the Guardian series. Advare he obviously had a huge body makeover also, but Advare he was largely considered as this comical actor only who's doing a little, all these korche side roles. He obviously clicked with Parks and Recreation TV series.
Hmm.
He was quite good in it, no doubt about it. But I think he had a huge image makeover with this role moving into Guardians. But still, good set of movies. Did you like the third one though, Paul? Like where the rocket in the full backstory, intense.
എനിക്ക് ഞാൻ തിയേറ്ററിലും കണ്ടതാ പടം.
Hmm.
ഭയങ്കര ഇഷ്ടമാണ്. റോക്കറ്റ് ക്യാരക്ടറും ഭയങ്കര നമുക്ക് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു ക്യാരക്ടറാണ്.
Yeah.
അവരുടെ ബാക്ക് സ്റ്റോറിയും ഇതും ഞാൻ ഇഷ്ടമാണ്.
തേർഡ് എനിക്ക് പേഴ്സണലി മറ്റേ ആനിമൽസിന്റെ ഇതൊക്കെ ആയപ്പോ എനിക്ക് കുറച്ചിങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഐ മീൻ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ഗുഡ് ബട്ട് ലൈക്ക് എനിക്ക് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിരുന്നു കാണാൻ ലൈക്ക് ഓ പാവം എന്നുള്ളത്. ബട്ട് ഐ തിങ്ക് ഐ റിയലി ലൈക്ക് ദ സെക്കൻഡ് വൺ വേർ മറ്റേ ഹിസ് നെയിം ഇസ് യുലോണ്ടോ എന്താ അങ്ങനെ എന്തോ അല്ലേ ആ പുള്ളിയുടെ പേര്, ഹിസ് ഡാഡ് ക്യാരക്ടർ. Yeah. So like they kind of try to show him as like the dad he never had. That whole bit I really enjoyed. I feel like there was a lot of emotional connect involved in that. That was really good. Nikhil.
MCUവിൽ സോ ഐ ലൈക്ക് മെനി MCU മൂവീസ്. ഇപ്പം നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ക്യാപ്റ്റൻ അമേരിക്ക വാസ് റിയലി ഗ്രേറ്റ്, വിന്റർ സോൾജർ വാസ് ഗുഡ്,
Winter Soldier was really
Winter
good.
Soldier was good.
First one was
But the thing is, now I don't remember about the movie. I don't remember a single thing about the movie. So I don't know why, but all these movies, Black Panther ആണെങ്കിലും I really liked. But I don't remember about the movie now. I think it's not memorable for me somehow. But for me, MCUവിൽ എനിക്ക് ഏറ്റവും ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടത് the OG Iron Man. I still like it. It's very ഇപ്പോഴും എനിക്ക് ഓർമ്മയുണ്ട് അതിൻ്റെ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് സ്റ്റോറി ലൈൻ ആൻഡ് the origin story. Everything was really great. So OG Iron
The
Man
man was that
is my
good.
favorite MCU. Yeah.
fan service. But
ഞാൻ
go on.
ഞാൻ ഇവരുടെ മറ്റേ ക്യാപ്റ്റൻ അമേരിക്ക ഏതാ പറഞ്ഞ നല്ലത് എനിക്ക് ഇഷ്ടമായി?
Winter Soldier.
ഞാൻ ഇതുവരെ കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല.
It's actually quite good. So I really like.
കാണാം.
Like, in fact, I remember watching first Captain America and I was just like, why are we watching this? But Winter Soldier, it obviously had good reviews, and when I watched it, it was quite nice. I really enjoyed it. Nikhil, I want to ask you, മാർവലിലൊക്കെ നിനക്ക് ഇത് ഇഷ്ടം, മാർവൽ അല്ലാതെ DC-യിൽ നിനക്ക് എന്ത് ഇഷ്ടമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു? ഫ്ലാഷ് ആണ്.
DC അല്ലേ ഡാർക്ക് നൈറ്റ്?
നോളം പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, നിനക്ക് നോളം തരാൻ പറ്റില്ല. But I think I want to throw it to all of you guys. Like, is there a DC movie that you guys have actually enjoyed though?
I like Batman.
Injustice. This is the game.
The
sorry.
fight one, the where in which it's just the two of them.
Yeah. And then he wears some special suit and then
I
tries
really
to
like that. How
Superman.
how he tried to.
First of all, it's not even a competition. Superman is too inhumanly
That's where
strong.
he brings in the aerosolized kryptonite.
അതിലല്ലേ in the end
എന്താ അമ്മയുടെ പേര്
That's That's true. But the air is.
We're like, why are we fighting? We both our mothers are named the same. Let us stop.
it's like നമ്മുടെ വിജയ് പടം അമ്മ.
No.
അമ്മ
But I
weakness
like
is there.
seeing Batman look at Superman fight the other guy, see his city getting destroyed, and just thinking that if he has a change of heart, or they're basically living under his whim. So you can see that fear in Batman's eyes. And then subsequently, when he and Clark meet, that is the tension there inside. You can hear it in Bruce's voice, where he's trying to say, "Your newspaper always writes a puff piece about Superman every time he saves a kitten from a tree or whatever." And then subsequently, he goes on to see Superman as a threat, and then he tries to devise a way to bring down a literal god. So I really liked all those aspects where he saw that, okay, fine, this kryptonite is his weakness. Now, how to use kryptonite? Okay, you can aerosolize it because you can't shoot him. You can't make it into a bullet because it's he has got whatever skin of steel or whatever. So what can he do? He can breathe. So okay, I'll make it into an aerosolized thing. Okay, now that I made him breathe it.
He can probably hold his breath as well, right?
No, but
Like,
Superman
I don't
doesn't
think
know.
he needs to breathe.
അതെടാ നീ ഇങ്ങനെ അതിനെ
First, I'm sure, of course, God. But yeah, I understand you liked where they came from and they had a whole story around
because
it. And
I don't know if you've seen this in the animated Batman. This thing, Batman as a part of Justice League has a contingency plan for every single league member going rogue. So for Wonder Woman he has one thing, for Cyborg he has one thing, for Flash he has one thing. For every single member he has a contingency plan that if someone were to go rogue, I have this thing. And the one thing he has for himself is like when they open that file, it's blank. So the other members ask him, "What the fuck? You have everything for each one of us. What is your contingency plan for yourself?" So he says it's the Justice League because he knows he's not a Superman. He doesn't have superpowers. So if these gods come for him, he's gone. Which I still think Batman would find a way out.
I think Batman.
Wait.
Go on.
I think we spoke more about this movie than Deadpool and Wolverine.
Which goes to show how much
We
story
probably
was there in
changed
Deadpool and
the
Wolverine.
name of the episode. Yeah. No, I think Batman as a superhero is obviously, there are 2-3 things. One, everybody likes him. Two, but he's also like one of the most made fun of in terms of like not having any powers as such. And like, and people are
His
like,
power is money.
Yeah. So, but also he's a very beloved character, though. I do feel like, especially I think that's got a lot to do with the comics. I think Batman was like a huge hit as a comic book.
I liked Pattinson's Batman also.
The new one, right?
New one.
Yeah.
That was good. I think a detective type of padam that one.
I
think-
just didn't like his hair. Like, I don't know what's happening with that, but okay.
Yeah.
Paul, you wanted to say something?
പിന്നെ ജോക്കർ
Ah,
DC
I wanted to
universe
say
അല്ലേ
that. Yeah.
എല്ലാവർക്കും ഇഷ്ടമായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ അധികം ആൾക്കാർക്ക് അറിയില്ല, പക്ഷെ V for Vendetta പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു
Oh
പടമുണ്ട്.
my god.
Oh,
Oh, is that
അത്
movie?
അത്
DC
DC യുടെ
കോമിക്സിന്റെ
That
ബേസ്ഡ്
was
ആണ്.
so good.
Oh, that's nice.
പണ്ടത്തെ
Yeah,
Yeah, that
V for
was good.
Vendetta
That's
was
good
really
movie.
nice.
Yeah.
ഇവർക്ക് സീരീസും ഉണ്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു, മറ്റേ പീസ് ജോൺ
Gotham
സീനന്റെ.
ഒക്കെ ഇല്ലേ? Gotham and...
അല്ല, ഈ സാധാ ലൈവ് ഈ ആനിമേഷൻ അല്ലാത്ത ലൈവ് ആക്ഷൻ സീരീസ് മറ്റേ ജോൺ സീന അഭിനയിക്കുന്ന ഒരു റോളില്ല, പീസ് വോക്കറോ പീസ് മേക്കർ.
Peacemaker.
Oh,
പീസ്
okay.
മേക്കറിന്റെ സീരീസ് ഉണ്ട്, അത് നല്ല.
You know, I actually like John
John
Cena as
Cena
an
is there
actor.
everywhere.
He's not bad at all. He's got good comic timing and all. He's like
But
really
you
good.
can't see him.
Oh.
He's actually in this podcast as well.
Yeah, guys, we actually have a special guest who's joining in a day, who's been in the whole episode, but you can't see him. But neither can you see
they
us.
see any one of us. So I guess we are all John
But
Cena.
anyway, yeah. I think DC movies as such, like I've always wanted to like a DC movie. Like in Agrahund. That's how there's always this hype also before a DC movie comes out, like, oh my god, like is this movie gonna be their breaking thing? But I just feel like somehow they've not had that break that MCU has been able to have. Didn't really enjoy any of the whatever that series of Justice League, Superman movies. Some Batman movies were nice. Of course, the Nolan movies were nice. I think Joker first one was really nice. Second one I've not watched, but I hear it's a musical and I'm really
Yeah,
confused.
second one I heard it's very bad.
Yeah.
Or
Also,
I
I don't know
think
why it's a
it's-
musical.
Yeah.
But okay, but like fine. Like these first one was more like I think soul searching. He's understanding who he is, and but okay, a good segue to have.
Yeah, I think what DC is not trying to do this എല്ലാ ടൈംലൈനും ടുഗദർ stuff. So everything is different. So maybe Marvel ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യണത് is making sense for them. at least.
DC-നെ കൊണ്ട്
At least
individual
DC ശ്രമിച്ച് fail
DC-നെ കൊണ്ട്
ചെയ്ത്.
ഇൻഡിവിജ്വലേ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. അപ്പോഴാണ് ടൈം ലൈൻ.
അതെ, എന്നിട്ടാണ് ഇപ്പൊ ടൈം ലൈൻ വിത്ത് മിക്സ് നടക്കൂല.
No, I think they tried to do it Justice League but failed miserably.
I think I was actually honestly very excited when I was in college. I remember when this happened. Suicide Squad വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് I was very excited. I was like, ഇത് കുറച്ച് ഡിഫറെന്റ് ആയിരിക്കും, വെറൈറ്റി
ലെറ്റ്
ഐറ്റം.
ഡൗൺ ഓഫ് ദ സെഞ്ചുറി.
But yeah, very very unfortunate.
I think രണ്ട് പ്രാവശ്യം came. There was a recent one also, right? I think that was better. There's another Suicide Squad which came. I think it was series or something.
No, മറ്റേ
Birds of Prey ആണോ?
മാർഗറ്റ് റോബി വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അത് ഞാൻ കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. പക്ഷേ I don't know, I've not seen it.
നല്ല, ഞാൻ കണ്ടത് കുഴപ്പമില്ല, കണ്ടിരിക്കാം. DC-ന്റെ പോലെ മാത്രം മോശമാണ്, അത്ര മോശമൊന്നുമില്ല.
Actually, I think Wonder Woman is one of their movies which made a lot of money, at least in terms of a hit. I don't know how much of that has got to do with Gal Gadot being hot, but okay, I don't know. It made money.
സൂയിസൈഡ് സ്ക്വാഡിൽ ഒരു ഇഷ്ടാവാത്ത കാരണം നമ്മുടെ ജാരഡ് ലെറ്റോ
He was
ജോക്കറായിട്ട്
Joker.
വരും. തീരെ മറ്റേത് കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇത് കാണുമ്പോൾ അവന്റെ
I think he-
ആ ഒരു ഓവർ
Okay, it might be half his fault, but I think the other half is like നമ്മൾ ഹീത്ത് ലെഡ്ജർ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ജാരഡ് ലെറ്റോനെ ജോക്കറായിട്ട് കാണുന്നത് നമുക്ക് പറ്റില്ല. Like you're not
And
able
he
to
tried to
accept
do
it.
it completely different. He didn't want it to
He
be
can't.
like,
That's the
yeah.
thing, right? Like that would also be a criticism. If he tries to do the same thing
Yeah.
Ledger has done, people will be like, he's tried to do that and failed. It's too much pressure. I feel that was an unfortunate move for him.
Yeah, but talking about superhero stuff, The Boys was really good. The series.
Boys was great for
I think
first
I
2 seasons.
only saw
I
the
think.
first two. Yeah, first 3 seasons I've seen. I didn't see the
2,
latest
3
one.
also okay, but now I'm just like, dude, this Homelander is really strong. He can just kill anybody at any point of time, but he chooses not to, which is why the story is proceeding. That's it.
Have you seen
So,
the
but it's-
story in the comics of? No, I've not read it, but I've
No, I
seen
have not read
YouTube
the
clips.
comic.
Yeah, they
No.
in that one, the story, the power, the people, everyone's pretty balanced. Homelander has contenders who can stand up to him. There are people
Right.
like, if I remember right, Homelander dies as well. If someone's
Sorry.
able to,
Maybe it's possible.
Spoiler.
I do feel like he has to die. അല്ലാതെ ഈ സീരീസ് പറ്റൂല. Like there is no way he's gonna tame down. He's crazy, right? But yeah.
super freaky.
But yeah, I think that is one of those series which I have seen. Though it's a superhero series, it's it's a little different, right? Like it's a nice concept where you're like capitalizing, monetizing superheroes and that kind of stuff. I mean, of course, it's from the comics, but it's a great take, I do think.
What do you
Do
guys
I
think
have?
about
Yeah,
superhero movies in Indian movies?
Shaktiman OG superhero
Nikhil
best.
Murli.
I really like Minal Murli.
I didn't like Minal Murli,
You didn't
actually.
like her?
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like I do feel like the concept was nice, of course, no doubt about it, but I feel like ultimately Basil came under a lot of pressure and the story kind of പെട്ടെന്ന് എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ തീർക്കാൻ തോന്നിയ പോലെ തോന്നി എനിക്ക് ആഫ്റ്റർ പോയിന്റ് ലൈക്ക് ഇനീഷ്യലൊക്കെ ഓക്കെ ഒറിജിനൊക്കെ ഓക്കെ ബട്ട് ആഫ്റ്റർ പോയിന്റ് ഐ ഡോണ്ട് നോ മേ ബി ഐ വാസ് ടു ഹൈപ്പ് ഫോർ ഇറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്സ് പോസിബിൾ ബിക്കോസ് ഐ എം എ ഹ്യൂജ് ഫാൻ ഓഫ് ബേസിൽ ആസ് എ ഡയറക്ടർ ആൻഡ് നൗ ആസ് എൻ ആക്ടർ ബട്ട് ഐ വാസ് ഹോപ്പിംഗ് ഫോർ എ ലോട്ട് ഫ്രം ഹിം ബിക്കോസ് അതിന് മുമ്പ് ഗോദയായിരുന്നു ഐ തിങ്ക് ഇറങ്ങിയിരുന്നത് സോ ഗോദ വാസ് ലൈക്ക് റിയലി ഫൺ മൂവി ഐ തിങ്ക് ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് റീവാച്ച് വാല്യൂ ബട്ട് ഡിഡ്ന്റ് റിയലി എൻജോയ് മിന്നൽ മുരളി
I feel like when India comes to make, or we come to make superhero movies, the problem is the West has comics, years and years of comics, where there
Source
is
material.
a man there is a X dash man with put in power's name or animal's name or whatever. There is a man for every this thing, and they have played out years and years of stories, so they can pick and choose. Okay, this works with people, that works with people, and now we can invest and make a movie on him. Here we are trying to go the opposite way. We're trying to make a movie first, so which is why it's bound to fail. I feel it has to be something that is
നിങ്ങൾ
proved.
മറ്റേ ഷാറുഖ് ഖാന്റെ രാവൺ ഉണ്ടോ രാവൺ
Chamak.
സൂപ്പർ ഹീറോ ബ്രോ ചമ്മച്ചൽ അതന്നെ
Then this
മലയാളത്തില്
Endiran.
വേറൊരു പടം വരാൻ പോവല്ലേ
ആ കത്തനാരാണോ?
മറ്റേ ആ
കടമറ്റത്ത് എത്തനാണോ ബ്രോ
അത്
ക്രിസ്ത്യൻ
ആരങ്ങനത്തെ
ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ്
സൂര്യ
ഐ ഡോണ്ട് നോ ഹൂസ് ഗോണ
ജയസൂര്യ,
ആക്ട്
ജയസൂര്യ.
ജയസൂര്യാണോ ഓ
Yeah.
കടമത്ത് എത്തനാർ ബട്ട് ഐ റിമെമ്പർ വാസ് എ വെരി ഫേമസ് ആ സീരിയല്
serial,
വരുന്ന
yeah.
സമയത്ത് ഭയങ്കര ഫേമസ് ആയിരുന്നു അതിന്റെ ആ മറ്റേ മ്യൂസിക് ഒക്കെ
അതിലും
Memorable
മ്യൂസിക്
music.
എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര
അതിലും
പേടിയായിരുന്നു
മ്യൂസിക് ഉണ്ട് മാർവലില്ല.
Yeah, that's what.
പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര പേടിയായിരുന്നു ആ സമയത്ത് കാണാൻ I remember.
I think Basil is doing the
ജോസഫ്
Shaktiman, right?
Yeah, I think
With
he's trying
Ranveer.
to. Yeah. But that seems like a very, very ambitious project. I don't know how he will pull it
Yeah,
off.
നെറ്റ്ഫ്ലിക്സ് അല്ലേ മിന്നൽ മുരളി
Yeah, Netflix.
ഇത് ചെയ്ത ഫണ്ട് അവരൽപ്പം ചെയ്യും.
I think the issue with this big studios is, there will be limitations. Like creativity
ഭയങ്കര
might.
ഇന്റർഫിയറൻസ് ഉണ്ടാവും.
Yeah. Plus, നമ്മളിപ്പോ ഒരു വേറെ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിലെ വേറൊരു നടൻ ലൈക്ക് രൺവീർ സിംഗ് ആർഗ്യുബ്ലി ഈസ് ലൈക്ക് വൺ ഓഫ് ദ ബിഗസ്റ്റ് സ്റ്റാർസ് ഇൻ ബോളിവുഡ് റൈറ്റ് നൗ റൈറ്റ്. അപ്പൊ ബേസിൽ നമ്മളെ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിൽ സിനിമ എടുക്കുന്ന പോലെ അവിടെ പോയിട്ട് രൺവീർ സിംഗിനോട് ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുന്ന ചിലപ്പോൾ പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ലായിരിക്കും. അതൊക്കെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകൾ ഉണ്ടാവും. ബട്ട് ഓക്കെ ഇറ്റ്സ് എൻ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് തിങ് ദാറ്റ് അറ്റ്ലീസ്റ്റ് ദേ ട്രൈങ് ടു മേക്ക് സംതിങ്.
There was this comedy in this interview. Dhyan Srinivasan was saying, Basil Shaktiman എടുത്തിട്ട് അവന്റെ സിനിമ തന്നെ he has to see in subtitle because he doesn't know Hindi.
അവര് തമ്മിൽ ഭയങ്കര കോമഡി, ഭയങ്കര ഫണ്ണാവും. Okay guys, I think we went quite in deep about superhero movies in general. I think spoke a bit about Marvel, spoke quite a bit about Deadpool, and very, very enjoyable conversation. കൊള്ളായിരുന്നു. നിങ്ങൾ ഒക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെ വീണ്ടും പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിലേക്ക് വരണം എന്നാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ആഗ്രഹം. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ കാണുന്ന പടങ്ങളൊക്കെ കാണൂ, ഞങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നതൊക്കെ കേൾക്കൂ, എന്നിട്ട് കൂടെ
അപ്പൊ
ഞങ്ങൾ
ഞങ്ങളുടെ കട്ട്
സംസാരിക്കും.
ഗൂഗിൾ പേയിലാണോ അതോ പേടിഎം ആണോ?
ഫോർ നൗ ഓൺലി ബെസ്റ്റ് വിഷസ് ആൻഡ്
നിങ്ങളിങ്ങനെ
ബ്ലെസ്സിങ്സ് മാത്രം തരും.
കാണുന്ന ആൾക്കാരൊക്കെ വിളിച്ച് ഗസ്റ്റ് ആക്കിയ കാണുന്ന ആൾക്കാർ ബാക്കി ഉണ്ടാവില്ല കേട്ടോ.
That's why he strategically
കാണാനല്ല,
kept
കേൾക്കാൻ.
Pilla and Sanjay out to keep that ratio there.
Guys, ഇത്
അതല്ലേ
നിങ്ങള് റിയലൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല, ഇത് ഒരു വെരി വെരി സ്ലൈ പിരമിഡ്
പാൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ
സ്കീമാണ്.
മൂവ്മെന്റ്.
ഈ സ്കീമിലേക്ക് ഞങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരെയും കയറ്റാനാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഉദ്ദേശം. സോ ഗൈസ്,
Yeah.
anybody who listens to this podcast, please get in touch with us to be a part of this
ഞാൻ
podcast.
പറയട്ടെ,
And then you
ഇവന്റെ
can also share
ഇവന്റെ
with your
ബിസിനസ് ഈ
ആർക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിലും
പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ്
വരാം.
അല്ല, ഇവന്റെ ബിസിനസ് മൈക്ക് വിക്കലാണ്.
പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിൽ സംസാരിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ മൈക്ക് മേടിക്കണം. അതാണ് ഞാനും ജയ്ബിലായിട്ടാണ് കട്ട്.
Yeah. Sanjay has this renting business.
We can tell you where to buy it from. Contact us.
Use my coupon code.
അതെ, ഈ ലിങ്ക് തരാം. Good stuff. So, thanks for making the time. Thanks for joining. and we hope to see you in the next one.